Okay, I want to welcome everyone to today's Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners working session. Today's agenda is posted. Are the items that we would plan on discussing, other items not listed may be discussed to the extent permissible by law. This meeting is being taped for playback later on YouTube. That'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Motion to open the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
And Mr. Hessian said yes. Frank, the meeting is all yours.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. So my name is Frank Occhipinti with Weston and Sampson Engineers, and I was asked to come in to give a summary update of the projects that we're working with the board, and we're also going to give you an update of kind of what the next steps are for that program. So the projects we're working on are related to infiltration and inflow rehabilitation, and the first item was the work that was completed. It was started in 2022. It was rehab work based on the AECOM SSES report dated 2021. There was approximately 228,000 gallons per day of infiltration identified, of which about half of that was removable, 113,000 roughly. So that work has been complete. Year one of the program, which is identified in the II control plan that the Sewer Commission has put together, that was submitted to DP, that consisted of a metering program. And through that metering program, we identified that the base sanitary flow was estimated to be approximately 1.4 million gallons a day. That is compared to the 2.5 million gallons a day that's the extent of your permit as far as maximum amount of flow.
So just saying that 1.4 is if we were in utopia with no I&I is what we'd see.
That's right. So the metering identified that 1.4 MGD approximately. The estimated infiltration at that same time was between 0.9 and 1.2 MGD. So when you add those two numbers together, you're getting between 2.3 and 2.6 MGD, which is very close to the 2.5 MGD that the town has for a limit. Factor in, and now that's only infiltration, which is groundwater. Factor in rainwater that also enters the system. That was based on a peak design storm. There was another 1.9 MGD, which would equal, again, that would bring you up to about 4.5, 4.2, I think it was. And the plant has seen much higher than that in the past. So again, that's based on that design storm. So if there's higher conditions as far as groundwater and wet weather, that could fluctuate on the amount of flow that's getting into the system.
Okay, Frank, based on these numbers that you just provided, do you consider we're at, well, we obviously are at max capacity, but is this within the norm that you see in other municipalities?
I mean, it's not unusual to be 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 times higher than the base flow for your peak flow. So it's not unusual, but at the same time, based on what I've seen for what the town gets during max amount of flow, particularly this spring, I would say that's pretty extreme. So, and
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that how much emphasis or how much credibility would you give peak flow when you're looking at capacity?
I'm not sure what.
What I'm saying, okay, I've got a facility that can handle 2.5. And you're saying with the I&I, I'm there. So then you're saying with, when it rains, should I be planning on rainfall when I'm looking at overall capacity? I know you gotta plan on rain, but.
Yeah, you have to factor that in, so.
So looking at this number, I'm well over capacity.
Yeah. Yep. And again, you're trying to get an average flow for your permit as far as what your average is, and as you're aware, the town has exceeded that average on a regular basis. For
My average right now is 2.7.
2.7, so that's about 0.2 mgd higher than your permit. So.
And that's without really peak rain, because we haven't had rain.
Right. So.
Well, between the metering program and the I&I, that's where you'd expect to be based on what you just told us, right?
Yeah.
That came out to 2.6.
Yeah, it's almost, it pretty much works out to what you're seeing, so.
And then when it rains, we're
Sure.
up the creek. Well, I wasn't going to say that.
All right, sorry.
So again, the year one program was a metering program to identify that flow and to identify the town source system was broken up into 15 locations so that we could basically break it up into sub-SOAR areas and then try to identify which areas to prioritize first based on the highest amount of flow. So that was completed as part of year one. Year two.
Okay, before we go to year one, let's, for Sherry's sake, we are paid in full for year one?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing outstanding?
No. Probably should have grabbed my list. So moving to year two. Year two was looking at two of those 15 sub-areas which were identified with the highest amount of infiltration. And it focused mainly on infiltration, looking at, again, defects in the soil that would cause groundwater to leak into the soil. So TV inspection was completed as well as manhole inspections. And as part of that work, we identified approximately 45,000 gallons per day of infiltration that was observed. In addition, there was another 110,000 gallons per day of unidentified service flow.
Okay,
What's
if you
that
go,
number?
110,000
you got
gallons.
that, it's on this. Did Robin get one?
Yeah, I think so. You should have
Oh.
one.
Thank you.
Okay, the question I have on that point, year two, you identified 45,000, but the summary report said 28,000 was cost effective to remove.
So again, we're looking at roughly half of the flow that's identified is removable. We say about 50% because when you seal up one leak, the groundwater rises, it may migrate to another sewer that's adjacent, manhole that's adjacent. So DEP suggests that you not estimate that you're going to have 100% removal when it comes to infiltration rehabilitation. So based on the type of repair that you're doing, which in this case it's grouting and sealing, it's approximately 50%. And that's a conservative number, so maybe a little more.
And that 50% would also be reflective on that additional 110? Or no?
Yeah, the 110, again, you would need to verify whether that service, whether that flow is flow that is truly infiltration, or it could be something other. And that something other could be something as simple as a leaking toilet, or so if someone has a leaking toilet, you're going to see that flow coming out of that service.
Okay.
In addition, you could have a dehumidifier. It could be slowly in use, a leaking faucet. It could be anything. So
Okay, but for planning purposes, I should be looking at the identified amounts.
that's right.
Okay, year 2, how are we with billing on that?
So the report was provided, and I believe that is being 100% billed. Let me verify that.
You said there's a report?
Yep, the report was provided.
Written report, yes, summary report.
Yep.
We have that.
Do I have that?
Should be in the file. It's not, we're not talking
If,
accounting report, we're talking a summary report of the
Oh,
investigation.
it's an II investigation.
Oh,
report.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the II investigation report was provided.
I have copies if anyone needs it.
I thought you were talking about a summary of the payments.
Me too.
Okay.
So was year 2 paid in full?
I believe so. I'm sorry, I'm having an issue opening up that file. For some reason, it's working very slowly.
Microsoft was having troubles again today.
But I believe that's paid for. Year 3. Any questions on year 2? Okay. Moving down to year 3. Year 3 was again a continuation of the II program, which consisted of infiltration, identifying infiltration in sub-areas 9 and 13.
That again was TV and manhole, correct?
That's TV manhole inspection, that's correct. So through observation, we identified approximately 102,000 gallons per day of infiltration, and then another additional 9,000 gallons a day of suspected II through the
Okay. So we're looking at probably the vicinity of 75,000 possibly removed, combining those two, correct?
So it's total of 74,000 roughly combined, which is identified in the next in item number 5. So looking at years 3 and 4 recommended for rehab, we have a total of about 147,600 gallons per day of identified infiltration. Estimated removal at 50% removal rate would be about 73,800 gallons per day. And then the estimated cost for that is about $760,000, which would include design, bidding, award, construction. So basically all include construction and engineering.
Okay, Jim, bear with me, I don't mean to be rude, but we paid 500,000 to remove 113,000. Where,
500,000 to remove.
That was the investigation and the engineering combined.
Yep.
Why the big jump to remove so much less?
Yeah, because keep in mind that the work that's being performed is not just II removal. It's also structural issues. So anything that's related to II removal and structural defects is considered cost effective to rehabilitate the sewer. So you wouldn't go in there, just do the II, but not take care of the structural issues as well. So we're doing that at the same time.
Okay, so that $760,000, for example, would cover that, for lack of better terms, crushed or egg-shaped.
In some
Pipe.
cases, it could be a crushed pipe or broken.
So that's the one on
pipes.
Hingham Street we were talking about.
Yeah.
That $760,000 is to remove the I&I and repair that pipe.
Right. So,
Less,
and not just that pipe, but a number of other structural. And
Okay.
again, it's all summarized in the year 2 report, and it will be summarized in the year 3 report once we finalize that, which should be probably in 2 to 3 weeks.
okay, now I don't want to leave that though, but I want to,
Okay.
my line of thought is money. So on top of that $760,000, I should tack in another $100,000 for police details.
You would have to add, let me confirm that. We might have included police on that contingency as well.
Okay, I need you
So
to
that-
consider.
Yeah, I'll confirm whether that includes police.
Okay, I don't want to leave that yet, but I don't want to interrupt your train of thought now.
No, if you have anything else, please.
Yeah, okay, now, in your astute opinion, is it worth the board going after that this year? I know, to me, what I saw in the structural issues, it is because that's only gonna get worse. 73,000, on the other hand, gallons is not gonna give me revenue for development, really.
Yeah, I mean,
That's gonna break, so you know, that 73,000 will break me even with the EPA, with what I owe them on the 1101. So I'm starting on a clean slate, but I have no room to bring anyone in. Is that what you tell me?
well,
Based on my permit?
based on your permit, that would make sense.
Okay.
So again, these areas that we focused on were the highest priority areas. It's not to say that once we continue some of the areas, we may find like a smoking gun where a lot of the II is coming from one source, and it's going to be a higher cost effectiveness to remove that versus. But we're not going to know that until we.
No, and I understand that, but where we are in the scheme of things, in the plan, is that the board has to make a decision that, are we gonna go after that 73,000, which I believe, and I'll leave it to the gurus here, that we have the funding to do, as well as that smoke test.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think we should, are you recommending, we need, this is what we pay you the big bucks for, make a recommendation, should we go after that this year?
I mean,
It would help
You
bring
have-
us even to look good on paper.
yeah, you have to. I mean, you're going to ultimately have to do it. It's a matter of whether you're going to do it this year or push it maybe to the following year. So, as far as whether you should do it or not, ultimately you're going to be doing it as part of your II control plan that you submitted to DEP. So you identified that each year the town is going to be committed to doing some sort of program, continual program to identify and remove II. So you don't, as part of that program, you don't need to do this year, and you don't need to do it this year, but you will have to do it eventually. That helps.
Are we restricted by the time of year for I&I removal?
I mean, ideally, we'd like to do it during high groundwater because we're going to be actually visually seeing those leaks as they're rehabbing.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm
So
talking
in
about the
spring.
repair. The repair is to do now.
Ideally, you would want to do. What's that?
Wouldn't it be ideal to repair it now
Structure.
at low water?
Oh no, The high waters, is fine.
Doesn't matter then.
So it doesn't matter, so we
Doesn't-
could
doesn't
do it,
matter.
we could do the I&I repair this calendar year.
Yeah.
Jerry, Dan, you have questions?
For that removal, that estimate on the 760, does that include the project oversight?
Yes.
Something-
That's the construction service.
That's a whole soup to nuts.
Yep. And I'm gonna confirm whether that include police, which I thought it might, it may have.
Oh, I like it if it does.
Yeah.
I have a question as well. So the structural defects are crushed pipes. Does it include manholes as well?
Anything they
that's- Anything that they find, anything we find that's a structural defect and cost effective. So,
See, for example, we have an item on Hingham Street and Webster Street that the pipe is like that. So
yeah.
that's structural.
If there were manholes identified, it would include manholes. I'm not sure, I can't tell you off the top of my head whether those.
So I have a question because we're all aware that you can get credits with, I think it's the DEP, when you repair structures. We don't understand how that works.
Right.
Do you understand how that works so that we can get credit?
When you say you're getting credit, what do you mean?
Like so many
For
gallons
correcting
per
it.
day for each manhole that you replace.
Yeah, that would be your I&I
Correcting
removal.
manholes.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting credit for removal unless you identify it. So you identify the II first, and then there would be removal. The only time they have like certain values when it comes to removal is like sump pumps, for example. So if you remove a sump pump, it's worth X.
Or if you go around and you seal manholes on
Right.
your own.
Right.
Okay, so it's just sealing them, not replacing
Right,
them?
yeah,
Because
something like
when you
that.
replace them, don't you seal them at the same
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, you would, but if it needs to be, like this one on Hingham Street,
Yeah.
that wasn't identified in this. I don't know if we just all we did is we replaced 3 manholes. Can we get credit for those?
Was there II observed?
No.
So,
One
We
there
thought
was
it was
on,
a
one there was
certain-
on Pond Street. One
I
there
don't think you
was,
can get credit just for the sake of replacing a manhole because of
Okay.
the structure.
so it has to have observed
You
I&I.
have to have observed II.
And the only one that we observed, I sent you the picture of on Pond Street.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant source. That's probably like 1,000 gallon a day.
Okay.
So if you replace that manhole, I mean, it could be rehab. You don't need to replace that. That doesn't need to be replaced. It can be rehab, so you can seal it.
It's high water line down there.
Yep, but you could seal it. You don't.
Yeah. No, this was a cracked pipe. This was coming into the walls of the
Yeah,
pipe.
cracked pipe is cracked pipe is one thing. You gotta, most of the time you gotta replace if it's crushed more than like 10%. But if it's
Oh,
less
it's
than
just
that,
cracked.
if it's just cracked, again, you could possibly line that pipe instead of excavating and digging it up.
So I think what we want to come out of this today is have a handle on, do we go after that $760,000 and the smoke test? Because if we're going to do the smoke test, which we're going to get into now, this is the time of year to do it.
So my question is, for that Hingham Street crushed pipe, what's the priority? How bad is this? What is our time frame that we realistically?
When one would have to
Can.
move on it,
Mhm.
I would say if we're
Before
going to
it
move on
closes.
that, we'd want to do it before school starts.
But is that a preference or is that a need?
That's
I mean,
it, that-
well,
that-
Frank's talking about how we could put it off till next year, but would the conditions allow that?
Well, put off.
It's pay me now or pay me later.
Well,
Understood.
It's II work. When we're talking about structural defects, that's a different story because it could fail tomorrow. Some of the ones that we see, we can identify. All right, this is maybe like a 1 to 3 year out repair, where you probably want to do it within 1 or 3 years or 3+ years. But if you have one that's crushed or collapsed, that would probably be within the year.
I was, okay, so,
That would be a
So you
high,
say-
that would be
I
a
would say
high,
do it.
Speed up.
that would be a high
Okay.
priority one where
Okay.
you don't wanna wait because
Water was running right
if
through the
that,
house.
Well, that's what I need, that's
So
what I wanna know.
and the water rushing in it is causing possibly the soil to come in on it too, and it's just gonna degrade.
and the other thing too is we are getting ready, the wet weather's approaching.
Mhm.
How much pipe to have,
Huh?
how much pipe we'll have to put down?
And we can add those spot repairs, those types of spot repairs to the rehab project.
Like the one we found on Pond.
Right, we could add those to the rehab project. We can bid it all at once and you're gonna get probably more cost-effective pricing as a result.
Okay, based on what I'm hearing, and again, this is a discussion, I don't mean, I'm not making a decision. Follow? I would think it'd be worth our while for a couple of reasons, have Weston Sampson give us a formal bid package to go after that this calendar year. There's several, I think, two keys here. One, that obligation of that pipe looks significant in that picture. It is vitrified clay, so I'm afraid it's gonna go.
Mhm.
And the fact that it'll bring us even Steven with the EPA.
Mhm.
You know, we did plan on it. Now it comes down to funding, Sherry.
Comes down to funding, and, you know, we can't do both.
What do you mean we can't do both?
We can't do the smoke testing on this contract along.
Oh, no, I'm saying, I'm talking about this calendar year.
Right, well,
So
that's.
just keep
Okay,
in
but
mind-
hold on, there's more in the smoke testing, but,
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, likely you wouldn't be bidding this thing, you wouldn't be constructing this thing until the spring of next year.
Mhm.
Because for us,
But
if you gave us the go-ahead today, it's still gonna take some time to get that,
yeah,
Mhm.
get the plans and specs together, and then get it bid, get it awarded, and then start construction.
So
So
the
by the
next,
time-
next summer,
So you're looking at least, I mean.
April.
Best case scenario would be 6 to 9 months before you're actually out there constructing. By the time you start, go ahead for design.
Now that price, Sherry asked you if it include project oversight, it does it include bid preparation?
Bid award, we up bidding, we'll review the bids packages and make a recommendation to the town based on reviewing the bids, whether they're responsive bids, and provide a recommendation to award.
Okay, so now I turn to you. Let's say we do this, I'm just saying for shits and giggles, we do it,
Mhm.
that's $800,000.
Yeah.
Frank, let's go into the smoke testing for a minute that you and I had discussed, so they have an understanding what that is.
Okay, so the smoke testing is looking at, different from the infiltration work that we've been doing to date, which is looking for groundwater entering the sewer. The smoke testing would focus on rainwater entering the sewer.
And drainage,
Uh,
illegal drains, rooftops.
Yep, any type of rainwater, well, again, that would be through rainwater. So
Oh.
any type of drain that's connected to the sewer, any roof leaders, that's all considered inflow. So any rainwater that's entering the system through either defects, like, again, you could have anything from cracked pipe to cracked core bowls or frames and covers. So that would be a defect in the system that could cause ground rainwater in order to enter the system, or illicit connections. You're not going to identify sump pumps as part of this work because normally those are not gravity fed. They'd be some sort of check valve in the sump pump. So once in a while you'll maybe find a couple because they may not have a good tight seal on the sump pump connection. So you might find some, but for the most part, it would focus mainly on like gravity type connections, like roof leaders, driveway drains, and anything that's tying to the system.
Okay, no, and I'm doing this for the benefit of Robin, Sherry, and Dan, because we've had the conversations with the base. When you go after inflow, the difference between infiltration is that when you seal infiltration, that's sealed and you recognize that, you eliminate that flow. Once you go to inflow, that's a longer period to capture that flow because it's mostly on private property or municipal property.
Right,
So there's engineering involved in that that's out of our control.
right, I mean, there's gonna be private, what we call private inflow and public inflow. The public inflow would be like catch basins, old catch basins that are connected into the system. Sometimes you have that. I don't think town is a combined system, but.
We do not have a combined.
But they may have some old connections.
I think
that
we have a
were-
lot of old connections.
Old connections that were in there. Roof leaders, a lot of the old factories used to get their roof leaders and
That's what I'm
turn
thinking.
straight into the sewer, so it wouldn't be uncommon for a lot of the large, older flat roof buildings to have those.
Okay, let's talk public inflow for a minute. From your previous experience from other towns and municipalities, you identify, let's say for a number, 500,000 gallons a day of inflow. What is usually the turnaround for a municipality, once you identify it, to go after it and repair it?
So it depends what it is. So once we identify smoke, it's not a confirmation all the time. So that's the kind of one of a two-phase approach in order to identify inflow. So the first step is doing smoke testing. And then in order to confirm that, because if you think about it, smoke, because it's so light, it can come up anywhere. So you could have either a direct connection, again like a catch basin that ties directly with a pipe into the sewer, right into the sewer manhole. That's a direct connection. You're going to see that catch basin smoking pretty heavily. And then there's an indirect connection. So we see a catch basin, same scenario, catch basin smoking. There's only a little smoke coming out of it. And what could be happening there is you could have the catch basin and the sewer pipe kind of cross over one another. And if there's a crack in the sewer, crack in the drain, that smoke's going to travel from the sewer to the drain, and then smoke inside that drain. So you're not seeing, it's not truly a connection, because if the drain is say below the sewer, but if it's above the sewer and you have that crack, it might be seeping in eventually as the ground saturates and goes from that drain into the sewer. So that is what we call an indirect inflow source.
Okay, but I guess what I'm looking at is that we do a smoke test. So you're telling me there's smoke, then there's confirmation testing, what have you. When you start a smoke test, what is usually the timeline to go from smoke to confirmation to remediation? I would say, looking at this is just me,
Yeah.
I would say you're probably looking at 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it takes you're gonna have to smoke it. Once you smoke it, then we can do dye testing depending on the year. I mean, sometimes we can get that. Say, for instance, if we did smoke testing this summer, as far as the schedule, which is when you want to do it, when the ground is driest, we could do the dye testing in the fall, confirm that, and then we could design in the winter time and then bid for spring construction. So we could probably still get something out by spring for, and again, depending what it is, if there's some things like, if it's on private property, that's a whole different situation, so it might require a little discussion with the property owners and so forth, but anything on the public right away, we could get it designed and bid for.
But the town still has to come up with the funds to do that,
That's right.
or or is that sewer that pays for that here?
I mean, you could, that would still be part of,
Sewer system.
source system, so you could go after like, SRF funding, for example.
Okay, but again, we're talking time.
Yeah, and you missed this year's window for that, for us to submit. So
Okay.
you'd have to submit it next July/August.
Okay, so to
And then it
me,
would
from
be-
what you're saying is there's real no beneficial, nothing beneficial to go after it now in this time in our lives.
Well, I mean, if you don't go after it now, it's going to be, you are gonna, let's say you find it, then, I mean, in order to submit something for funding, you have to know what
Yeah.
it is.
Okay, I guess what I'm saying is going after inflow is not gonna gain me any capacity right out of the gate.
You're not until you remove it.
No, that's,
Yeah.
I need that set on tape.
Yes, not until you remove it, and the longer you wait to investigate it, the longer it's gonna take to remove it.
So, but even so, we smoke, then die, removal, we're still looking at possibly 2 to 3 years.
I mean, again, if you needed to capture funding for that, say for example, then again, you would submit next year, which would be next July, and then you have to wait until the fall and spring.
Okay, this is gonna bring in another question, so long time down the road, but
I mean, we're too
And
late
this-
this year.
Can this process be spread over 2 years? So just as a matter of timing, if we start the smoke testing and confirmation through the fall, figure out what we need to do, next year we put in for the SRF funding to remediate
Right.
that fall 25.
Yeah, well, we're gonna look at 80% of the system, 80% of the inflow that's coming into the system with this program, by the way. So the majority of your inflow, which was 80%, is going to be investigated. So during the metering program, we identified that 80% of the inflow coming into your system is in less than 50% of the source system. So, does that make sense? So 80%,
Yes.
yeah, 80%, so the majority of your inflow is coming in to your system in less than 50% of the system. And that's not uncommon because, a lot of your system is newer, right, in PVC, and the older parts of the system, again, it could be more than likely maybe the downtown areas is where they start first. So those older parts of the system, or the low-lying areas of the system. So again, you could have a lot of the sewers in low-lying areas near wetlands, and people are pumping their basements.
leads us to a deeper
So
concern.
that's actually good, because when we're ready to do construction, we're talking about a smaller
The smaller,
target.
right?
But remember what he said, we could apply for SR.
And that's what I'm trying to wrap.
All right, but now you're
around
leading into a
timing.
bigger con. How much more burden are we gonna put on the ratepayers? Because everything comes as a cost. And which probably leads into that rate study. How is that gonna affect your rate study?
I mean, all of this investigation work has been accounted for in the rate study, as well as the anticipated rehabilitation work. So it's built into the rates.
So I
based
don't have to
on-
worry about increasing user rates per se right now.
Well, no, the rate study identified that each year the town is going to have to raise rates.
Right,
at
and
a
we're
certain
going
percent.
forward with that. That's right.
Mhm.
It says that based on based on this program, the treatment plant upgrades, all the other things that the town has to do in order to maintain, upgrade and maintain this system.
So I'm gonna steady kill then if I follow your recommendations on that rate study.
Well, again, depending
If Murphy decides to drop one.
if everything works according to plan, you should, we should be checking that each year to make sure, like, hey, how does the retained earnings looking compared to the prediction? It's a prediction tool, so it's something you should be checking on a regular basis as a comparison, but it does help you plan for what those estimated rates could be.
Okay,
There
so-
are unforeseen stuff that could cause, you might have to raise the rate maybe 1 or 2% higher than what we estimated because of some unforeseen.
Well, then there's gonna be inflation, we're gonna do that, but.
Right.
I mean, would you camera also as the smoke is in the pipe also?
We wouldn't camera right
No.
away, no, we would just do the smoke testing.
Frank,
And you're gonna see a lot, the good thing about smoke is that it comes up through everything. Like if we have dry enough conditions, which we do right now, if you have cracks in surfaces, it will come up through the ground, and you'll see that
Really?
in some cases. I've seen it come up through the grounds for cracks in pipes. So it's not uncommon to see that. If we have an open clean out, we're gonna see that. So not only is it identifying inflow, but it's also identifying a hazardous condition for some of the
Yeah.
homeowners as well, because if they see smoke in the house, then they're getting soil gas in the house, and that's a hazardous condition that we've just identified and made them aware of.
okay, so we've identified that some of this is a pay me now, pay me later. Looking at the immediate need, we've already identified that I'm over my permit, over our permit. What are some of the things I can do to free up some capacity, or gain some capacity to take on new users? The problem I'm having is that if I were the EPA and I look at a permit that's been constant where we have between 2.8 and 3.0 historically, I'd be hesitant to say take on more users.
Right. Unless you can identify and remove II.
But are they gonna look that I identify and remove it now or down the road? What's to say removing it down the road's a sure thing, I'm gonna capture that. What I don't wanna do is say, or I'm gonna take in 4 or 5 users, rack up a 500,000 gallon a day tab to the EPA and not be able to meet it. Then I'm deeper in the hole.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you want to try to identify and remove it in conjunction with
Adding new users.
So the other thing you got to keep in mind too is with inflow, unlike infiltration, when you identify infiltration and you remove it,
It's gone.
we're estimating 50% removal rate. When we identify inflow and we remove it, that's 100% removal rate, because inflow is different than infiltration, where if there's a source that you identify and you cut off that source, it's 100% removed.
Okay, but
It's
what
not gonna migrate elsewhere.
but that's what I'm saying, even if we identify the inflow, I don't wanna take on users on credit, saying I'm gonna get that until I get it. Am I making sense where I'm going?
I mean, some communities, what they do is, but by identifying that inflow, you could now have identified inflow, and then if a developer wants to come in, you can say, here is X amount of flow, let's say it's 3 catch basins connected to the system, and we estimate 15,000 gallons a day, and they're looking to tie in 5,000 gallons a day, then that would be, obviously you have to do a 11 to 1, so it has to match with your.
Well, see, that's what I would do, but what I'm saying is if I'm 2.9, maybe I'm ahead, I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe we should wait to see what we identify before we even address that question for info.
But I ultimately, if you have that II identified and someone's looking to connect, it's an option of giving them the option to try to remove that, not try, but remove that II in order to connect, as long as they meet that requirement for II removal, which again, the town has currently at 11-1.
So I could technically identify 150,000 gallons this fall and spring. And then when it's identified, I could offer that out and just focus the funds on that to eliminate it.
And that, with that type of removal rate, remember, for every gallon you're putting in, you're removing 10 gallons.
11. Yeah, okay.
Well,
Okay.
because it's 11-1, for every gallon you put in, you're removing 10 gallons. So every time you're adding flow into the system, and you're able to remove that II, you're actually coming up with a net flow. So in reality, you're, by connections, if they can identify and remove the 11-1 flow, you should be lowering your flow in the system with each connection that you make.
Okay, I think I got it handled. I think I beat you enough on that.
Can I ask a question about the smoke testing in item 6?
Yes.
You've got it broken out for the cost.
Yeah, so we didn't really go into the cost for year 3. There is money remaining in year 3. Some of it's not billed, and some of it we anticipate to have additional funds available. So we propose to use the 30K that would be available from year 3 in order to cover all the initial setup for the smoke.
And we come up with another 90.
Right.
Is that doable?
Well, I guess we got delivery.
Because what I'm thinking, if we're gonna do the swamp, we'd really have to get them to go in a couple of weeks.
Right.
Well, the thing is because we already have a signed contract with you and we have budget with you, all it's doing is reallocating some of that extra money left over to use it for some additional scope that we're looking to offer as part of that smoke testing. So, while we're still working on trying to finalize an agreement for the field work and smoke work, we can use the existing budget from year 3 to start doing all of the public notification.
Or good's a public notification if we're not gonna do it, though.
Well, that's what I mean. You have to know that you're going to commit, obviously, before you. If you know you're going to commit to smoke, then we can. What I'm saying is, we can get going right away so that it doesn't delay things and we can get it done this year.
Sherry, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The year 3, we budgeted that for fiscal year 25.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes, that's the 155.
okay.
Sure. Is that
Um,
what you're talking
so I think the total contract is did you say 155?
about? I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that contract is complete, but we
It's not.
Right,
haven't,
it's
well, we
not-
haven't built up the one, we haven't
Yeah, it
billed
hasn't built.
155.
Right.
I just
Well,
wanted to
we're
make sure we didn't budget it in fiscal year 24 if we were
Oh, yeah,
relocating
yeah.
it. That
No,
was
it's
my
the
only
article.
question.
It's a special article.
So it's it's probably half spent at this point, I think.
Right.
So again, and we estimate we'll have at least another 30,000. in there, and it might be,
that
and it
is
might be even
not gonna be spent that we can put towards the smoke test.
right, and might be even a little more, right? Depend, you know, depends where we end up with it.
Well, that's still, so that between the identified rehab for infiltration and the 90,000 for smoke is 850,000. So that leaves
Right,
no
so-
room for anything else in our I&I.
So the question, the question you need to decide is, do you want to do the investigation
Mhm.
first, or do you want to start working on the rehab? I mean, the other thing too is we could still design that rehab and not bill it until next fiscal year if that's an issue. If you need to wait until next fiscal year, I'm not sure exactly what the amount would be, but I can get that to you if that helps.
But then the remediation is done in the spring?
The remediation,
Right.
well,
So this
ultimately it'll be
year.
done after July 1st to go into the next fiscal year.
Right, but when we were talking about remediation, did we say we did it during high water times?
I mean, ideally, it's not as critical as when you want to do the investigation. Investigation's always done during high groundwater, but
Okay.
remediation, ideally, I like to do it during high groundwater because I like to see it and then we know when we're sealing it.
You know
But
you've got it.
But at the same time, we do have a 1-year warranty, so the contractor will come back the next year during high groundwater to work.
Like we did this year.
Yeah.
Right, I was just trying to figure out the time span, because
Yeah.
if we
Yeah,
push
the
off,
time.
If we could wait, if you needed to wait until like July 1st, it's not the end of the world.
No, what I wanna do is I wanna make a
right,
decision.
and then we wouldn't be doing it until the following spring.
I wanna make a decision if we're gonna go after that I&I rate.
Yeah.
The I&I for that 750 we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out the timing of it between our fiscal years.
If
What
we,
is your
if we
fiscal
made
year
if we pulled the
budget?
trigger now, that's gonna be all on this fiscal year.
But, yeah,
Well, but Frank is saying that the design and the bid could be,
the design and bid is
we
separate.
could do this, that's,
So again,
that's gonna be a separate contract.
Keep in mind, it's gonna be,
So we could do that
even if
this
we
year.
design it right now, it's gonna be 6 to 9 months.
Okay,
before
but
it's-
you're gonna realize we have no revenue coming in, so if we
I
got the funds
understand that.
now, commit it.
Well, that's just it, we're trying to make sure that we have the funds to do it, to make that
I
commitment.
thought we
So what
would-
I'm thinking is, we do the design and the bid in our current year budget, and the remediation follows next summer in FY '26.
I'm lost because that 750, you earlier said
We have, right. Of that 750 that we talked about, 155 is already under contract. So that to get to, we can't get to the 760,000 in this year.
Oh, okay, that's
We
that's
can't get to
okay.
that.
But I think
But
you would,
what we're thinking is to break it apart, break that 760 into two pieces.
right.
Part this year.
We could do the
that we could
engineer,
do.
we could do the design this year, and then, again, it's gonna take us at least 6 to 9 months to get this thing,
All right,
construction started anyways. By the time we design it, bid it, award it, and then they start work, it's probably gonna be 6 to 9 months, at least.
And the 760 includes remediation.
That
Yes.
includes, yes, that includes the
So that
construction.
includes.
So we
everything.
can
So
move
that
forward.
part
So we can
would
move
be-
forward, I gotta check exactly how that breaks out, but we could give you a contract for the design.
but if we give the contract for the design and the design, nothing's saying that remediation price is gonna be stabilized because cost of living, other
Understood.
increases.
Yeah,
Right.
but the actual remediation will fall into our next fiscal year, which we can then budget appropriately for.
Right, cause that might be, I don't know, let's say $100,000 for a design, so that would be for this fiscal year.
What do we gain?
Because, well, we can get it done. Because
Well, what
this
do we
year's,
gain
this
for-
year's budget, we
What do we
put
gain
in
as far as
500.
removal? Nothing.
Well, again, it'll be ready for bidding in the spring and then construction come July 1st. You could
That's
still-
not helping me free up capacity to bring on new users right now.
But you couldn't do it any quicker anyways. There's no way, it's not like it's gonna be done tomorrow. You couldn't do it any quicker. You need at least
And
6
we've
to 9
already
months.
established a need to start getting going on the Hingham Street, so this at least starts the process.
It starts the process, because
Rather
otherwise.
than waiting until next July
Yeah.
and
If
starting
you
the
say I'm
process.
gonna wait till next fiscal year, then that's,
That's next
instead of
July.
9 months, it's
I'll do the technical, you do the money. You
20
tell me.
months. So I can break down the cost to tell you what that would look like.
Yeah, if you could break it down into the
This fiscal year and next
phases.
fiscal year.
Yes.
And then based on that, you can look at how
Yes.
your budget is and then how that works out.
Because if we take this big $760,000 remediation and spread it over this year and next year, we might be able to get the smoke testing in this year.
Okay, I need you to handle that for me with Frank. Work
But,
it out.
Yeah. I need-
Ideally,
I
I'd
need
like to
some-
get the smoke
some
testing
numbers.
in if we can.
That 760 is not gonna be spent all this fiscal. There's no way, again,
Okay.
we can't
All right,
get it out to, we
Say
can't
that
get it
again.
designed and
Yeah.
All right, do
constructed.
you two work that
Okay.
out now?
All right, and I will come up with a recommendation on,
Okay, now let's loop into the side note here, the base. I was prepared to send them a letter stating that we're gonna consider doing the smoke testing. How can we bring them in to help us with their 80 grand? Where could we apply that 80 grand if they are still so willing to help us?
put that to them.
Yeah, I mean, they indicated that they would be willing to contribute, so I mean, I'm not gonna speak for them, so they get a question is that something they could help out with too? That's another option.
Okay, so I could send them a letter stating that, something to the effect that, we agree to do the smoke testing, however, if you would put your 80,000 towards Weston Sampson doing the test to keep it all in one
I think it
house.
was 88 or 89.
Yeah.
They identified.
If you would contribute the 80,000, we'll have Weston Sampson do the smoke testing.
Yeah.
It won't make up any difference.
Right.
Okay. That frees up that 90.
So, the second, if you're done with that, I just wanted to go over kind of where all these projects stand. I know that's something we. So that's kind of that second page. So, and when you're talking about whether the projects are complete, like the sewer rehab for 2022, I think the last pay app was submitted to the town recently. That's for the construction side. I think that was basically retainage after the warranty.
How much was that, 18,000?
Plot. I gotta double check with Ken.
That was the last one I paid, was for
Okay,
18,000.
so that was probably it. And then,
Do you happen to know what I didn't compare this to the contract, so I paid about 150,000 towards year 2. So I'm assuming that covers the entire,
It was 159 or something like that, wasn't it?
yeah, oh, it was 150,000, I
Whoa.
paid
what are
149.
you talking about, construction pay app? What are
No,
you
all the
talking-
bills for the year
Weston
2.
Sampson?
Yep, for Weston and Sampson.
Okay.
The contract was 150 and I paid 149, 979.51.
That's not.
Right, so you're
So
not
it's
gonna-
paid.
Yeah, that's paid.
Oh,
That one, yeah, the only project that's currently still ongoing is the year 3, and then the other one that we have with you is the NIPD's permit O&M assistance.
What does that stand?
I think Ken just sent some requests for information yesterday. So we need to get some, we had some questions and some,
Now, this is all operational in here, correct?
right.
So they should go to Megan.
Okay. Yeah, so
I think she was copied on it, wasn't she?
Ken sent it to, no, I think he sent it yesterday at 9:14 to you, Chuck, and Rockland Sewer.
Okay, anything related to that, Frank, that's all information that Viola has to give you.
All right.
So I would just request it all from Megan.
All right. Megan Lynch.
Yep.
Yes.
So I'm gonna forward this to Megan right now. And I'll copy everyone else on that.
So the CWMP is paid in full.
We're on the O&M, that's done.
No, the CW, that's not us.
CWMP is Wright Pierce.
Oh, but you know what? The rate study I charged against CWMP, that's why I said that.
Rate study is complete right now, correct?
I wasn't sure if we started it again. Did we start?
No,
it?
we were gonna give, Ken wanted some information, Frank wanted information, see if things we were doing were gonna affect it, but what he's telling us, we're on an even keel.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to, that's what I
For
wanted
the
to know.
rate study though, we had an amendment for 17,000 for a presentation in the 5-year, is that all
I don't
closed
think,
out?
was that signed?
I don't think that's,
I don't think that was signed.
You're looking
a lot of it is they,
Look at you, going to college there.
Hey, this is called somebody
Maybe.
having her acting in it. It's in your book.
Question Sampson rate study amendment for 17,000.
Did we get that sent? Oh,
That was in August of 2023.
okay,
I
so
don't have a
maybe,
number for it.
so we must have provided something then.
I think that was the visit on year 2, year 1, and year 5, to see if we're on track.
Did they go before the board too?
I don't know.
I have it marked as a presentation.
It is a signed contract. I don't know. what-
Oh, it is signed, okay.
Yep.
So maybe we did do that, so let me just double check.
They're easier to track once that number gets assigned to them, that project number.
Yeah, nothing's.
They're not in the contracts.
Is that our contract number? or-
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good, I'm glad you like that. Let's see, do you have the contract number for that?
No.
For the 17,000 I do.
You do?
Yeah, that's what I was just
Oh.
reading.
Shoot, what
That
was
was
it?
signed.
What was that?
What's the contract number?
Oh, I don't have the contract
No,
number.
we
I have
don't
the
have it.
contract itself. You look at the
Oh,
contract.
okay.
Yeah.
Not the number.
And it's signed.
Okay.
You want a copy of that, Frank?
No, I think we should have it then. If you signed it and we got a copy of it, so we should have that. And I think Ken did complete that, now that I think about it. Yes, that was completed. So,
There's nothing to do.
there's nothing due on that. let's see. So let's see rate study for this. Yep, nothing's due on that one. So the other item, let's see, was, yeah, so just the NIPD's permit, that's 25. That's 25 that hasn't been built yet.
And you're in touch with the DEP and all the regulators on that, right? That they know an update's coming.
I think we talked about adding maybe an extension on that. I can't remember.
We did, I'm
Yeah.
hoping you did. We said
So
3
I-
months if we found it,
Right.
6 months if we have to prepare it.
Right. I think we.
I have that letter.
Right. So you submitted that request, right?
Yes,
Did you get a response?
no.
Okay.
What was this for?
So maybe you wanna tickle them or not?
Yeah. So we'll check on that one.
Right,
What was the amount on the
What's that
Nifty's permit contract?
25.
25,000.
Is that the same as the O&M report?
Yes. It's
O&M
NIPD's,
annual.
NIPD's and O&M. Yeah.
Okay.
Two 40605.
605, got it. Okay. Peer review, that's all done, correct? Nothing wrong? You need a point? I don't know if we ever did a contract on
No,
that. No. And then
There's actually a little bit of money left in the peer review, and I asked, well, we had to roll it forward because
That's good. So that's pretty much it. And then the only other thing was at some point down the road we talked about like the hydraulic model that was
hydraulic modeling, I think, is up and now off the table until we get.
right. Yeah, the first step I would be getting a handle on the II, and then the hydraulic model is helpful when you start connecting to your system as far as capacity, making sure you have capacity for any future developments.
All right, if you would touch base with Sherry on those 2 items,
Yeah.
she can update us at the probably next week if you could tell
Yeah,
us.
next week would be good.
Wanna touch
Or
base
maybe even
tomorrow?
if you can tomorrow night. We'll discuss it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Do you wanna touch base tomorrow morning?
Unfortunately, I have another obligation, it would have to be after, like 12 o'clock, right?
Yeah. You wanna just do 1 o'clock?
Sure.
Okay. Alright, I'll just send out an invite.
Perfect.
Okay.
I have a question that's a little off topic. So year 2, we did sub areas 6 and 11, year 3 is 9 and 13, and there are still left 3 from the 7 that you identified that make up the 80% of the INI. They must be for future years, 4 and 5.
Yeah, those will be future.
So, well, there's gonna be more than 3, there's gonna be 6. Because the areas that we did for year 1, 2, and 3, again, was only infiltration. So as far as the inflow goes, we're looking at half the town. I think it's 7 sub-areas, but there'll be another 6 that we haven't looked at as far as inflow goes. So, and again, one of the things, we're talking about smoke testing. The other thing we ultimately will have scheduled in the eye control plan is to do building inspections.
Are you gonna give us an area, sub-areas in town where you would consider smoke testing?
Yeah,
Identify.
so,
Or give me a map?
yeah, we can give you a map of the 7 areas, yes.
So what you want, of the 80% that you're gonna.
Yeah, we could do that. So it'll be the 7 areas. I think we listed it in the proposal.
You listed the areas, but I wanted
We
to,
can
if I could
provide that.
have a graphic that I could show.
Yep. So just looking at 9, so 2 of the 4 areas will be part of the smoke testing, which are 6 and 11. The other 4 areas are 3, 5, 10, 12, and 15.
And those other areas are for continued I&I?
Those are all the 6 areas that we would be doing smoke testing on.
Oh,
What I would like is if I could get
Let's start
just a
with 3
map of
and
the
4.
town and show me where, so I could show people, this is the area.
Yeah, we can do that. Right.
I know you're gonna do that.
Do what?
Nothing. You wanna go home now?
Well, it's up to you.
And I'm good, I think we kept you long enough to get you ahead of the traffic.
Nope.
You have any
Too many
more questions?
traffic.
Or
no,
is there
that's
any
very, very helpful. Yep,
Okay,
very helpful.
so again, we can kind of, you can touch base tomorrow and then go over what we're
Mhm.
looking at. Yeah,
Yeah.
got any other questions?
I'm good, friend. I'll get that draft letter out to you tonight and get that to you for the base, and we'll see what they have to say.
Okay.
I don't know how we're gonna do the base.
I think we're out of options as far as bringing in any big project for the town.
Yeah. That's fine, yeah.
Is what it is.
Any more said about the base, about going septic?
No, they are going septic on the Rockland side.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I saw on your,
So
on
you
their
may not-
report.
You may not get the 88,000 now.
No, we may, they still want to help out,
Oh, they still
look for
wanna
future capacity.
Contribute, yeah.
Okay, Frank, thank you. Tell
Thank
Jen I
you.
said hello.
Yes, we'll do. I'll leave those with you.
Do you two need to do anything on coding right now?
All
or-
right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, but it would be all of us on coding.
Yeah, I know, if you,
Yeah.
if you have.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah,
All right.
Code.
For the
Can
bills.
I, did I leave something on the table here for 59 North Ave? For you? That was check stuff.
Rock you out.
Thank you.
Nice to see you,
Good to
Frank.
see you.
Nice to see you as well.
Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I don't have anything for,
All right, they want to come to a future meeting, I just wanted to let you know.
who's that?
59 North Ave, that's the
Yes.
electrical building. I have the contact information for you to speak to the gentleman and then invite him to a future meeting.
All right.
I must have left it in the ARPA meeting before you leave.
Have
All right.
have they applied to any other board yet?
They thought that everything was covered, apparently because they went in front of planning, and I said that that's not
Okay.
correct.
While we're on the subject of developments, let me bring you up to speed, and this is other stuff not on the agenda, but will not get me in trouble. 258 Union Street is coming off the pending list,
Okay.
okay? There was also a error in that of 41 bedrooms that was not correct.
When you say it's coming off the list,
They've done nothing with, they've technically not even been before planning now, it's a whole new project.
all right, we'll move them down to a pending board
Right.
review.
Shingle Mill is still, well, I'm up in the air that they've been on the list for 4 years. The likelihood of them being able to connect now is slim to none. I don't know if we should leave them on the pending list or just, probably best is to leave them
It's
pending
slim
rather
to
than.
none for them?
Huh?
It's slim to none for them?
Right now, the way you heard what he said, I mean, where are we gonna put all that water?
Yeah. I thought they were making leeway with other boards, that's why.
Well, I haven't heard a blessed thing. I've heard it's out of housing court. No one has said
Oh,
below to us, so I mean, I don't know.
okay.
I could, guess we just leave them on there. But if a shovel-ready project comes in, they get it. We need the revenue.
And
I would leave them on
believe-
pending, they're not approved, they're not on a waiting list, they're just there.
leave them on pending board review? Because right now, this is what our wait list looks like. We have them under
Harmon is off,
Harmon is off, yeah.
258 is off,
So then it just leaves the shingle.
and I'd put Shingle Mill down pending board review.
Okay.
Are they
we're-
still in housing court?
From what I heard, they're pretty close to settled in housing court, but they still have to come to sewer and water, they haven't come to us yet. The last plan we saw was 4 years old, no, 2 years old.
So they have submit new plans.
We haven't heard about anything on the Zone A or anything like that, and we really can't discuss it any more in depth than that, but I know nothing about Shingle Mill right now, I don't know where they are, but I know if somebody comes in shovel ready, I think we just pounce on it.
Do we know what the status is for 320 Concord Street?
320 Concord Street is gonna begin April of next year, construction,
Because they owe us.
yes. Manzella Court is in process of,
They paid us,
They never pay till they're ready to start construction.
yeah. Right, but they paid us. They
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
paid us.
How's the other
Manzella
Concord
did.
Street?
But
Yeah,
that's
three-
why I'm asking about
Yeah.
320 Concord.
Most-
320 is gonna break ground in April.
They mostly pay when they come down and get the permit,
Yep.
because then they have to, before we can issue it.
And the other
Holy
one,
Family should get back to us like this, should get back to us by October.
and how about the other guy,
That's the one. Yeah.
Dwyer Street?
Who?
Dyer Street.
Dyer Street.
Dyer Street.
Dyer Street's
that's-
also-
that's in-
he's
done.
approved.
It's all done as far as we're concerned.
We still haven't seen their flow yet, really. Haven't seen 365 Concord Street's flow yet.
People haven't moved into Dyer Street yet?
I thought they sold
Oh,
it.
Because I thought they were, yeah.
They've
I
been
know they're
selling a few
sold.
of them.
Huh?
A few of them have been sold.
Okay,
So
so
they
we
might-
might be seeing it
And,
now.
and we already turned on the water at 365 Concord, correct? That's on the, heading away from the plant, that's on the left?
On the left, yes.
They've been turned on for a few months.
Okay, so
Yeah.
They're
we have
set
seen
too.
it. I don't think we're seeing usage because I don't think any of the units have been sold, but
Like the house, what's the house gonna be? Is that gonna be 2 units or 1 unit?
that's 19.
They're all singles, aren't they?
Yeah. 4-bedroom singles.
Are we ready to move on to coding?
Yes.
Sure.
All right, so I have a one from Landscape Supply Yard in Hanson for the beach and Spring Street casting adjusting. I got this from Dan Dell. They ordered them on their account. Town of Rockland Sewer Department. They ordered them on our account, I'm sorry. Anyway, with no tax. $1,687.
Isn't it just R&M?
I think it's R&M. Yeah, I agree. All right. Comcast bills,
Can I tag mine into that?
Where do you put this?
I put those under sundries.
Sundries, yeah. That's fine.
Mass mailers, always
Yeah,
the same.
excuse me?
Same.
What?
That's what?
Mass mailers. So this is the bill that we split with water. They, we send them a file, they produce and mail our bills
Okay.
every month.
Okay.
We have an account for that. So Computer Services, I believe is the name of that account. 529612.
Okay.
I have a Green Mountain Pipeline Services invoice.
Green Mountain was year 1.
It was, and it's for $25,000.
For what?
It's from year 1 I&I, so let's see. It came from Weston and Sampson, forwarded herewith for approval and payment is payment estimate number 6 for the withholding release. Weston and Sampson recommends that payments be
Oh,
made
that's
to
for the
Green Mountain
maintenance. That's
Pipeline
for the,
Services
The year 1 maintenance.
in the amount of $25,510.05.
That's,
you-
Didn't we pay that?
that was the, coming back for year 1 maintenance, so.
Yeah, right.
You may wanna take that and talk to Frank tomorrow on that.
Yeah,
All right, because we charged this previously to the regular I&I account, all of
Mhm.
the year one stuff. Do I have a note on here? It was a regular line item for I&I is what we charged it to.
It's the budget line?
Yep.
Yeah,
And you need to show this to Frank?
so, well, so is that too late to?
That's the work that was
That?
done this spring, that they went back to make sure that the lining
Yeah.
held.
This is from April 27th, so I don't know if I can encumber, it might have to go to town meeting, because we just received it. That's your copy.
Thank you.
We received it July 24th.
Can I draw it?
The person to contact to would be.
It's your copy, do whatever you want.
Frank or Ken.
We have in the regular I&I account for fiscal year 24 enough money to cover that.
If we can do it for 24, because that's where it would belong.
Right, so if we encumber it, but I'm just confirming with you that we
Yeah.
have that amount.
Yeah, I would agree, absolutely.
I hate when they come in late because we asked everyone and then they send in
Yeah,
some from
they-
April.
This is when it gets,
So
tricky.
Holdley and Sons, I have an invoice here and it's for Spring Street and it's for a manhole.
That's the Spring Street work with, that
Right.
was,
And we just spoke about that a moment
yeah,
ago.
that's our
So it's
now.
R&M.
Yeah.
WB Mason is sundries. And then a Vector truck to jet the lines on beach, summer and spring.
say that?
The Vector truck from Holdley, or is it Sewer Tech? I think that's a division of Holdley.
That was last week?
Yep,
Yep, that was the emergency for down on, that they have not finished yet, there's gonna be an addition
that was the
to that.
intersection as part of that whole manhole thing going.
That I believe, is that
Three
from the
streets.
work done Thursday and Friday, or Friday?
Ship date was 7/18, invoice date was 7/19, so yeah, that was last week. But it's jet the lines on beach, summer and spring was going towards the
Oh, yeah,
manhole.
okay, yeah,
So
that's
it's
not the
R&M.
emergency work, no,
Right, so
that's
it's
right.
R&M.
Right.
All right. And then I do have some that were encumbered that I can put through this week. Was 3,300 was year 6 MS4. Then I had 8,150. And then I have something for a pinch valve from FW Webb.
I have no idea what that is. Pinch valve?
Yeah. I have it mentioned on here, but I have to go pull the invoice
Couldn't
out.
go in the plant itself.
I had it under R&M on the encumbered list.
That might be for the valve back there.
I think you're right. So I had that encumbered for, repairs and maintenance.
Yep, that would be back there.
That's another almost $3,000 for R&M for 24. All right.
All right, so I'll talk to Frank about this and we'll get back to you tomorrow.
Okay. Are you talking to him in the morning? Because I'm doing the warrant.
No, I'm not talking to him until 1 o'clock.
Can I put it on the warrant? I mean,
Might
if I
as
have
well.
If I have to get it encumbered, I need to
Yeah.
We have the
get it on the
same
warrant.
I would
Yes.
I don't see any
Yeah.
harm in doing that.
Unless it's been paid.
It's not been paid. That's all I have.
You know what?
We have-
Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow's I know, isn't
Yeah.
this a long week? It's
It's
Tuesday and we're
Tuesday.
feeling like it's Friday.
And you don't work Fridays down there.
No.
Good thing. This came through for the developing PowerPoint slides.
Yes, let me talk to you about that. That would be, remember how I told you, like, for the smoke testing on that?
Yep.
That's would be part of an ongoing, as we go through.
Oh,
the-
no, I love it, yeah.
As we go through that, thing for the upgrades,
Mm-hmm.
we just keep building on that and building on that.
What we're doing,
For
what
public
we've done,
presentations and all that
Yeah, no, I
stuff.
love the idea.
I would like to help on that.
Yeah, yeah, I think we'll put that under the superintendent's salary.
Is that a bill or a contract?
This is.
That's a new contract that came in, I just didn't know how.
We haven't even formalized it.
Oh,
But I
okay.
didn't even want to do that till I knew where we were paying it.
No, that's what it was for, and, you
Yeah.
know, I'm just saying, I think that's something, if for public awareness, we could keep doing.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the bill for the scope for Wright Pierce to help prepare slides for the facility upgrade.
I second it,
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss?
yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
And I, yes. Now, question.
So voted.
Do you have to sign that and give me a
Yes.
copy?
Do we want to put that under the facility? No.
No, I would vote this goes
No,
under
no,
superintendent's
yeah,
salary because
yes.
it's really just,
Yep.
that's what I would hope and expect.
Any more talk about the superintendent?
I met with, today's 30th, how can I forget that day? It's gonna burn in effigy in my eye. I spoke with, Lori,
We can leave that there and then I'll raise it, yeah.
Lori, what's her last name? I'm sorry, Lori. if you're
Turnshaw?
watching.
Laurie Childs?
No,
Turnshaw.
Turnshaw,
Oh, the HR.
the new HR
yes.
person, and Doug last week. Ooh, I'm
Oh,
glad
I'm
that came
glad
up.
you said that. And?
What came up is that we agreed that looking through Indeed is not helping us out. The applicant she's getting is really absolutely zero experience wastewater or sewer or water even.
Yeah.
I asked her to reach out to the different universities again, maybe even, you know, we'll be wide open for anyone with engineering background that could do it, and that's all that went. What did come out of that was a couple things. Doug was unaware that the temp that we were looking for was going to the library.
Oh.
I really want to resurrect that and get somebody in here ASAP.
So I talked with Lori. She has called and left a message with the other candidate that was under consideration. And then she also sent me a resume this past week for someone
Fine.
who is
Please,
interested.
please,
So
please
I'm really pushing to get that.
push that.
Yeah.
The other thing that came up was about the union and Robin's position, possible change in description and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an outside consultant working on that, and I was kind of
Yeah.
told to back away from that, but I told them we want to see it as soon as possible.
So Lori had sent me job descriptions for the superintendent, for Robin, for.
Robin, the superintendent,
But
I changed.
I said to Lori, I said, what are these for? Because I did not ask for them, they just came through. And that's part of that consultancy.
Right, they're doing that. The one thing I
So-
changed on the superintendent is I took out
Okay.
the grade 7. It references is a grade 7 facility,
Yeah.
but did not want to allude that any potential candidate needs a grade 7
Needs to do
license,
that, no.
because it's slim and hard to find, period. You're not gonna find a grade 7. You're
They're all-
gonna be
yeah.
gainfully employed.
What about, we have a
Would you
staff.
really need a grade 7 when you're working this side of the plant when they have
No.
grade
No,
7?
no, you
There
don't.
was-
That's why I'm saying, take out,
Yeah.
There
what
are
it
things in
was
there that
was
look like
describing the
Viola
plant.
does.
This is a
Okay.
2.5 million gallon grade 7 plant.
Okay.
So I said, take that grade 7 out, because if it deters one person, it's one person that won't. It's in the resume.
What about like these trade magazines that we get?
Hmm?
There's
I've
a-
looked through those,
Well-
there's nothing.
But is that a place where we could?
Well, Robin came up with
Solicit.
one with there
It's
was
not on the-
MMA.
It's not on AMA, which is, or MMA, Massachusetts Municipal Association. I don't know why, but the
Really?
superintendents and the part-time position, neither one of them are on that website, and that's where most municipal employees look for jobs.
And if you could make a note if you're talking to Lori, I mentioned that to Doug right after I spoke with Robin, and he said he would take care of it. I just want to make sure nothing gets slipped through the
Okay.
cracks on that. I also mentioned to put it in NEWA, N-E-W-A, New England Water Association.
For both? For both?
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it feels like wicked late Friday, I mean, rough week.
I know it started and then stopped.
Before we
since yesterday.
adjourn,
No.
hold on.
That fence is
I
crooked.
got a couple upgrades, okay, while you're looking, I'll bring one up, on Spring Street. When we did that, the manhole that Robin was talking about from Hoadley, they were going down the line and found a significant amount of sand and blockage at Marigold Ave down to Market Street. We attempted to get through that, we were down there for 5 hours on Friday, and they went as far as they could. I have to bring them back to do further jetting on that. They want to know, I gotta call Kevin today if we want to schedule that for tomorrow. So, but I'll work without him.
Are they just jetting or are they vectoring as well?
Jetting backing, because what it was full of asphalt and sand. The next thing I want to talk about is Rockview Way, which was an absolute nightmare. That was the one we thought that the bus company was dumping directly into the sewer. Comes to find out that is a private road. There was no mapping or anything in the project file here existing on it. I went up to the Board of Health. I went to the town hall, building department. They had really nothing. They recommended I go up and see if Delhi had anything to Board of Health, and luckily Delhi had a print that shows that the bus company has its own dump tank, separate from the sewer, so they were completely legal in that. They had an open rectangular tank with, I saw human feces in it, uncapped, uncovered, so I told them I wanted that sealed up, which they were taking care of. However, there was a significant blockage on Rockview Way. The last two on the street, the Mass Highway or whatever they are, at the end of the cul-de-sac, their pumps kept burning out, and they thought there was a blockage up in the line. We found an old print at Registry of Deeds that shows the sewer has a 20-foot easement going down the length of the street. So I went up Thursday, Friday, and this morning. We had Ken Lewis try to do it yesterday. He couldn't do it. Thought there was a grinder pump in the upper portion of it by the bus company. Come to find out, every single building on that street has their own private grinder pump. That whole line is a 2-inch line feeding into a 6-inch going to the main. Now what had happened, what Chucky found out, Chuck Emerald from Veolia, was that the gentleman at the end of the street, when he pulled the pump, removed the check valve. So even though he repaired the pump, everything from uphill was flowing right back down into that pump. So he has to put that check valve back in and get that line working.
So are they
again.
grinder pumps or injector pumps?
Grinder pumps,
Okay.
all grinder pumps, shooting the 2-inch line up. But where that pump failed and that check valve failed, it's just, things roll downhill.
Yeah.
That's why I want to get a list of the users on Rockview Way and send them a nice little letter saying that it is your responsibility to maintain those grinder pumps because it's interfering with our main. So that's up to them to maintain that. There is no need to jet that 2-inch line. Number one, I'm afraid I'll blow it apart, which is why.
Why is it such a small line?
Because when you go to a grinder pump, it's all chewed up and it's.
Oh, so you don't need it.
You don't
Oh,
need for the
fine.
rags and all that other stuff. But I was afraid if I jet it this morning, the pressure was gonna blow that all up. So I said, I ended totally just pumping out those 2 manholes, contacted True Flow, who handles it for the 2 on the end of the line, said, Houston, you have a problem. So I'll follow up with him on a phone call tomorrow, see how he made out. Now it's your nickel.
No, I just wanted to set up next week's meeting. August is all
Yeah, you tell me, really.
funky, but next Wednesday's good for me.
If we could do Wednesday at 1, that would be good. Okay. If you got some items for agenda, send it to Robin, please.
Okay.
I really need you to hammer that thing out and give us a recommendation on that, on the
Right, so
The
with
thing
our,
I'm hung up
with
on,
our I budget and the article that we got for FY '25 includes his year 3, which takes a piece right out of it. And then we were just coming in with the 500,000 for Hingham. So now we're pumping it up because he came back with 760.
but see, that's where I'm
And the
confused, I had
90.
already planned on that 500,000.
Right, but
Okay.
he's saying 760.
Yeah, okay, so,
So
well,
that's where it's getting squeaky.
all right, and if I get the base to kick in another 80, what have you. My biggest concern is that we're no better off getting any additional capacity in the near future.
No,
And
we still owe it.
that's a killer.
Well, and it, yeah.
And I'm
the
almost
only way
willing
do
to,
that is the
we
smoke
took a
testing.
gamble, with Holy Family, and I haven't heard from anyone from regulatory yet, which I think will slide through. But we really need some revenue, so if somebody comes in shovel ready that even has a stub, I say we let them fly.
Well, if you get 100% return on inflow and we move forward with the smoke testing,
Yes,
that
that's-
seems like you'd get more
That's where
quicker
we're gonna
than
get the
with the
capacity.
infiltration.
Oh, you're gonna get a lot quicker than infiltration, it
The problem
just
with the infiltration is that the Hingham Street pipes are crushed.
needs to,
That's why I was
that needs to be
asking,
done, so if
what
we're
is
gonna
the
do that,
priority?
we might as well
So-
get that infiltration out.
Yeah,
Take credit
if you're
for it.
gonna do that much, if you're gonna do 500, do it all.
And then if
Done.
we do the smoke test, we're not gonna really have it confirmed till next year anyway.
Right, but if we can manage to get both of them started this year, we can budget to
And then
finish for
hopefully,
next year.
hopefully we
That's
can,
where I was trying to go with the timing.
yeah, and hopefully we could project to have some connections for next fiscal year.
And, yeah, and maybe by then the smoke testing will.
And
give us
Haines
something.
Street's a high water area too. All of
Yes, it is.
But that's my thoughts, is we have 2 projects that we can't do both of them, but we can do, but if we split it up, then we can do both of them over 2
And
years.
I'm gonna
Does that
work
make
on the
sense?
base, on the.
It
draft
does,
of the-
I'm just thinking if you get the 80,000 though, you can move forward right away with some of the smoke testing.
Oh, yeah, that's.
And
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
get some inflow.
That'll
I'll do
definitely-
an API. If-
Yeah,
if
that'll
They're
definitely give
anxious
us
to
a
move
leg
quick,
up.
I wanna make sure they
Right,
have.
you don't know how much you'll collect, but
All I wanna do is get connections.
Mhm.
don't forget about 59 North Ave, I'll give you the information before you leave.
I'll make a deal with you, can you email it to me?
I can't.
You gotta-
I emailed it to you already and you guys did nothing.
Oh, I still have it then.
Yeah, but I emailed it to all 3 of you on July.
And I
And I saw it.
on the agenda.
It's good.
No, I was asking you guys,
6 bedrooms.
right, but he has, let me tell you, this is why you need to talk to him on the phone before he comes to the meeting. He was all over the place thinking that he's already approved, and I barely got out of him that it was 6 bedrooms, and there is some commercial activity. So I think it would warrant a conversation
I'll
with
bring
him on
him
the
in.
phone
Yeah.
before he comes in.
All right, I will ask him to come in, this week and talk to me, if not, we'll do it first thing next week.
Right,
Give me the
and then
information
you
now
can
and I'll
put him on
call.
an agenda, yeah,
All right, I'll give him a call now.
okay. All right, thank you, peeps.
Okay.
That'll take a motion in today's meeting.
Motion to end today's meeting.
Thanks, Dan, I wouldn't expect that to you. All in favor, Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for all your help.